Oh, yeah.
Welcome, everyone.
I just won the big provincial tourism.
Yeah, with DDB. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming today. My name is Tisa, and I'm going to be your moderator for today's Career in Marketing panel. This afternoon, we have representatives from a variety of organizations in the field of marketing who are here to share their expertise and experiences with you. Before we get started, I just have a few housekeeping items I'd like to review with you all. I'm going to kindly ask that you please turn off or mute your cell phones for the entirety of our session today. I would kindly ask that if you have to exit, please do so through these doors here. That goes for the end of the session as well. If you do leave, just make sure you check in with Miriam. In case of an emergency, please evacuate through the nearest fire exit. There are two at the top in case of emergency. And please postpone all of your questions until the end of our panel today. We will be giving time for a question and answer period at the end. And finally, as many of you know, this is a Learning Passport eligible event. To keep things efficient, I ask that you just please fill out your Learning Passport as we go along today. It will have to be filled out in order to receive your stamp at the end of the session. Welcome, panelists. We can get started. I'm please going to ask Sheri to start. Could you please introduce yourself, your position, and the company you work for?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Sheri Landry. I work for Rogers Communications, and I've been there for 22 years. I've held numerous positions at Rogers and Fido, but I am currently work for the national brand team in a regional aspect, so I'm regional brand manager for Atlantic and Midwest.
My name is Sean Coyle. I am Regional Manager Marketing for Casino Nova Scotia. We have 2 casinos here in the province, and so our group is responsible for marketing for both those properties. I've been with the casino for 2.5 years, so the activities we kind of go through mainly with the casino are do a lot of direct mail, entertainment, promotions are the big things we do in the marketing department.
Great. Thank you. My name is
Hello, there we go. My name is Cyra Belbin. I'm the Marketing Integrations Manager with the Nova Scotia Liquor Corporation. I've been there for almost 8 years now. My team is responsible for everything from in-store programming to events like the Port of Wines Festival, Celebrate Whiskey, as well as all things digital, so social media, website, mobile solutions, all that good stuff. And we're responsible for 104 retail stores.
My name's John Allen. I'm with Gryphon Bird Control. I do nuisance bird control around facilities. I was in banking for 17 years, and then I found a passion of mine that worked out to be a business. So that's what I'll be discussing today.
Excellent. Thank you all for the introductions. Sean, we'll start with you for this question. How did you end up where you are today? Did you study marketing, and was this part of your career plan initially?
All right. I did not study marketing. I started at university at Acadia and started in science. And after half term, realized that was just way too much work for me at the time. I wasn't ready for it. And so I did a BA in political science and French. Graduated, couldn't really figure out a way to become gainfully employed, so I took some more schooling in computer science and multimedia design, and then in 1995 I started a business called VMP Group with the purpose of creating fully immersive virtual reality games. And that didn't work out because it was on the bleeding edge rather than the leading edge, so our company pivoted and went into marketing and 3D animation. So we produced a couple fully animated TV shows, did some motion capture for EA Sports, a couple of games, and that was great, but really the thing that was fueling the business in terms of cash flow was the marketing side of things. So we kind of shifted away from the TV production, the motion capture and all that kind of stuff, and really focused on marketing, acquired a research company, developed a bit more expertise in-house, and became a full marketing solution company. And then 2006, I sold that to my business partner, which was great for both of us. And I then took on marketing role as a director of marketing for Advanced Glazings, which is a architectural daylighting solution company, so it was in a completely different space. And then I moved to TechLink Entertainment, which was a company that produced VLT slot machines and responsible gaming systems. And then I went to be the executive director of the Sydney and Area Chamber of Commerce. I was over about a 5-year period. And then I did some of my own consulting as well on the side. And then I moved to Halifax. Sorry, all that was in Sydney. Okay, Brendan. And then I moved to Halifax and got a job with the Casino Nova Scotia. And I was hired as the senior marketing manager 2.5 years ago, and then was promoted to regional manager of marketing early this year.
Excellent. Thank you, Sean. Cyra?
So I grew up in retail, in the grocery business, so I quickly discovered my passion for retail. Wasn't sure if I wanted to do the entrepreneurship thing, do the marketing thing, had a quick stint of accounting, which was quickly aborted. And I put myself through university through serving on George Street, so I quickly found a passion for tourism, as well as an intrigue for the beverage alcohol industry. So while I was finishing up my undergrad, I had a publication company that promoted local establishments in the downtown area. And I decided, I really loved marketing, and my concentration was in marketing for my undergrad. So when I graduated, I was very lucky and got a job with Newfoundland Labrador Tourism. Not sure if you've seen some of their ad campaigns, but really a fantastic group to work for. So I worked with them for about a year, and I made a very difficult decision, having a full-time job right out of university that paid quite well, to leave and pursue my MBA in marketing. So I up and left, and I did it at St. Mary's about 8 years ago. And just before finishing up, I was lucky enough to set up an informational meeting, which I highly recommend if you can, to talk to someone in Nova Scotia Liquor, just to chat about what it means to be a marketer in that company. And by complete fluke, a few days before that meeting, they had a job posting for a communications coordinator, which wasn't in the area that I was looking for, but it was a foot in the door. So I applied as I was finishing up my master's, and I was lucky to get that job, and very quickly transferred over to marketing and have continued to work up the ladder in the marketing world for Nova Scotia Liquor. And that's where I am now.
Excellent. Thank you, Cyra. John?
Yes, I studied marketing at St. Mary's. Karen was actually one of my professors back in the day. And after that, I graduated with my BCom with marketing major. I started up with Royal Bank, moved on to CIBC, and that was the majority of my working career. Didn't do a whole lot of marketing, it was more finance that I was dealing with. And then one day I just happened to have a chance encounter with a falconer, and that inspired an interest I've had all my life with birds of prey, so I took up falconry. And as a sideline business now, I do bird control for large facilities, farmlands and things like that, using my birds of prey to ward off nuisance birds. So that it's not a booming business, but it's a passion of mine, and I truly believe if you find something that you're passionate about and you can make a buck at it, then you'll never work a day in your life.
Thank you so much, John. Sheri?
Great. So how I fell into marketing is a little bit unique. I started at the Mount many years ago thinking I wanted to be a teacher, so I was in the Bachelor of Arts program. Realized quickly that maybe that wasn't exactly what I wanted to do, so actually took a course from Karen Blodnicki here as well, and really enjoyed the marketing side. So switched over to the business program and started focusing on a business career. Almost done. I was asked to do a 2-week receptionist position. At that time it was Cantel, which is now Rogers Communications. So I said yes, by all means. It paid. I was young. I was absolutely happy to do it. And the receptionist never came back. So at that point, they asked me if I wanted to stay on. So it was like a very difficult decision whether to stay on to a full-time job or to go back and continue full-time studies. I decided to stay on at Cantel at the time and then finish up my degree part-time. They had a marketing department, and that's what I was studying, so I had a lot of interest in it. And I made myself very vocal and visible in the marketing department while I was on the receptionist desk. So anytime I could help out or volunteer or do anything, I made myself, again, very present into that department. And 6 months later, a marketing administrative assistant position came open, so I moved to the marketing side, and then have held numerous positions in the Atlantic region, as well as not working with National, not in the Toronto office, but working very closely with the Toronto office, and then been there many years in many roles. So that's how I came to be in the marketing side.
Great, thank you so much. For our next question, I think we'll start with you, Cyra. If you had to do it over again, would you do anything differently?
I'm going to be very egotistical and say no. I've been very, very fortunate with my career path. Some of it's been by chance, and some of it's just, hard work that led to great opportunity. But I've had the opportunity to find doors that are just getting open and then sneaking in through. If I could, one thing I would change is go back to my younger self and tell her all the things that I know now. But then what's the fun in that, because you won't really learn. But overall, I'm really pleased with the career choices that I've made and the chances that I've taken and where I've ended up.
Great, thank you. John?
I would say if I was to do anything different, looking back, I had spent, like I said, about 17 years in an industry I wasn't entirely happy with, and I would have made my decision to leave that industry much sooner, knowing if I knew then what I know now. But I would have tried to find something that I was more passionate about and try to follow those pursuits a little earlier on. Sometimes we stay with what's comfortable and tend to stay longer than we really should. So if you can find something that you're passionate about, push until you get something that you want.
Great advice, thank you. Sheri?
So I'm going to follow Cyra's lead, and I actually wouldn't change anything that where I am today. I've been very fortunate that I've worked for a company for 22 years that I truly love, and I love my role. I think one of the reasons that I've enjoyed it so much is I've had numerous roles throughout those years in the marketing side. So it hasn't just been one role. Also been very fortunate that being in a regional office working for a national company, I've been able to touch sponsorships, events, strategy, brand, retail management, financial management, a lot of different aspects of marketing I've been able to really focus on rather than being pigeonholed into one area of marketing. If there was one thing I would change, it's not so much my career path, but I would, kind of going back to my younger self, when I was doing my degree here, I hated the financial aspect of the degree, and I hated numbers and analytics. I just really shied away from it. And then at the point where I've became the prime in the Atlantic region, I've had to get myself involved in it and really learn that side. And ironically, now I love it. I love really looking in to see how things are trending and the analytics and financial analysis and competitive analysis. So I would say if I could have talked to my younger self, and maybe what anyone here could take away, don't walk away from what you don't like, embrace it, because you never know if you're really going to like it in the end.
Thanks, Sheri. I know there's a lot of marketing students who are probably cringing at the thought of numbers and stuff like that we have to do. Yeah. Sean, same question.
Yeah, I'm a look forward kind of person. I don't really tend to regret too much. When I first started out, as I mentioned, I owned my own business. And I did that partly because I couldn't find a job, but also I just found it really exciting. And that was something that, for me, it was a great time in my life to do that, because I had no responsibilities. I had no comfortable, a job to leave. I didn't have anything. I just had my time and a bunch of energy. So that was great, and I'd encourage anybody to explore that. It's not an easy road, but by any stretch. But also to John's point, if you find something that you like, it's not really like working for somebody else in a job you hate. Like it's an enjoyable time you spend pounding away and working really hard and doing things that are tough, but it gives you energy. If you do something you like, it gives you energy. And I'm sure everybody up here, we find niches and areas that we work in, and it really, at the end of the day, you might not realize how late it is in the day that you're working, or you can't get into work to kind of tackle another issue because we've landed in areas that we end up liking. So I wouldn't really change, I guess maybe it sounds egotistical, I was lucky or whatever, but I just keep looking forward and to Kyle's point, just looking for doors and opportunities and areas to open up interests that you may have or that you have into new places or new skill sets within the same place. It's always that forward-looking thing that's really benefited me, and not to worry about the past or things that went wrong. You learn from you don't learn from doing things right. You only learn when you make a mistake, and everybody who's successful in the world has made a zillion mistakes. So yeah, keep pushing forward and don't look back.
Great perspective. For this next question, I think we'll start with you on the end, John. How can students improve their chances of landing a marketing job when they graduate?
I would say take advantage of summer job opportunities. Try to look ahead and earlier before the term is over. Start thinking about what you want to do after school, and try to find those entry-level jobs during summer breaks and so on, just to get your foot in the door, because a lot of opportunities I find these days, it's networking, making connections. It's not necessarily a case of who you know, but who that person knows that can open doors for you. So start making your little connections, job experience, something to add to your resume, something more applicable to what you eventually want to end up doing, and start early.
Great advice. Sheri, we'll bring it back to you.
I agree with John. I think networking is huge. Get involved. When I was starting out, even though I had a career in marketing and at Rogers, I went to tons of events. I volunteered for different organizations. I volunteered for committees on the marketing side just to get that experience that you may need. I also think you should leverage your social networking sites, LinkedIn. I know from a Rogers Communications perspective, that's where we go to look for potential candidates in our industry. Also be careful what you put on Facebook, because we also go there to look as well. But really network and really know the industry and know what area of marketing that you want to be in. So if it is, say, event management, then again, volunteer or network at those type of events. It is a certain point to who you know. That's a part of it. Not necessarily. We've hired lots of people that we don't know, but definitely can help. And the more networked you are, the better chances you have. You hear about positions, people know of you. I've often if I hear, especially being in the marketing industry, you hear who's looking, and I often will say, oh, I know this person, you should interview them. Like, I'll make the calls. If I truly believe in that individual and their skill set, I'll take a step and make the call and say, if you got their resume, if you got that person's resume, you should take a look. So that's what my recommendations would be.
Excellent, thank you. Sean?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to hear the same thing, I think, over and over again. Businesses don't hire people, people hire people. So if you're looking for a job, you need a person to hire you, whether it be, somebody here or somebody out there. And LinkedIn is a huge asset and an easy way for anybody. How many people here are LinkedIn? How many people here have reached out to a person on LinkedIn that they didn't previously know to engage them in a conversation? That's what you need to start doing on LinkedIn. Be thoughtful, be respectful, but I think of LinkedIn like I would if we were just all standing in a room and I'm going to network, I'm going to meet people, or what we were doing ahead of time. When we were just talking to each other, we were talking about ourselves and our background, our experience, and what we do. And again, it's not you can get hired by people that you don't know and who don't know you. But a huge thing that you can do is get yourself out there, get yourself networked, get in the door, you know, whether it was, you know, a secretary job or a communications instead of marketing. Get in the door, get going, try stuff, fail, but leave a good impression, work hard, and get focused on what it is you want to do. And meet people, because people hire people. There's no two ways about it. And if I see a stack of 20 or 50 resumes and I know somebody, I'm instantly going to really think about, would this person be a good hire? Because if I know them and I trust them and they're not an idiot and they're not going to disappoint me and they're not going to embarrass me in my position if I hire them, they're already 90% of the way there. Then I just need to know if they have the technical aptitude to do the job above everybody, and everybody else may be better qualified, but you know, that skews people's decision making in a really material way. So get out there, get connected, be social. It's tough, it's not easy, you don't know people. That's just the way it is. And if you know 2 people, they'll start introducing you to 2 more people. And you know, if you're a nice person and you present yourself well, you know, before you know it, you'll have a really good network of people. And you know what? Look to help other people too. Don't just jump on these things to grab all the time. You know, you know, like Sheri just said, you know, like, oh, if I know somebody and I know there's a need over here and I know someone over there, I'm going to link the 2 together because she's nice and smart and she's going to help people that she knows. And that's what we as humans on a good level do. We help each other. So help yourself and get connected is the biggest thing you could do.
Great, thank you, Sean. Great advice. Cyra?
I'm just going to build off of what everyone's been saying. So I think you've been hearing networking is really important, being aware of what you're putting out on social media and being engaged in the right social platforms, and just casting your net fairly wide to start. From there, I would really recommend that you hone in on the industry that you're interested in. Start reaching out to people who you think have jobs that you want to be in 5, 10, 15 years, and see if they'll meet with you. I did that for both my tourism job as well as for my Nova Scotia Liquor Corporation job. People love talking about themselves. They'll tell you everything from what we've shared today about our career path through to what a day in the life looks like. And the more you can understand what a day in the life is, you can decide if that's where you want to be, or maybe you want to switch gears and try a different industry. Marketing isn't the same in every single place. It's very different. And then on top of that, right now at the table, really you have the entrepreneurial side and the client side, but there's also agency side. So there's, Trampoline, Color, Extreme Group, so many different agencies that are here in the city. That's a completely different world in the marketing sense. So understand where you might want to go and talk to those people, because the world is so different no matter where you plunk your bum in, right? So that's what I would recommend.
Excellent, thank you so much. For our next question, we'll start with you again, Sheri, if we can. Where do you see marketing and advertising trends headed in the next 10 years?
It's interesting. I've seen it change so much in the past 10 years. I think social media is a huge one, obviously. We focus a lot of our advertising and target groups on social media. And I think you have to really focus on what the customer wants. The customer has a huge amount of information available to them now where they might not have 10 or 20 years ago. So I think with marketing, we have to really take the time to figure out what that customer wants. The millennial generation, which most of you are in, it's that instant gratification that you're looking for. So it's important that companies understand that and target towards you. So I think in the next 10 years, it's really becoming more apparent of customer needs and wants, the platforms that we have the availability to communicate to you, again, through social media, and changing the marketing to fit the customer rather than just assuming you're going to walk into our door.
Great. Thank you. Sean, what would you say?
Yeah, building off of that is, and I'll just frame it up in terms of the casino a little bit. It's, we've gone in general trends, we've gone from marketing to the masses a lot to marketing to the individual. And I don't mean broad individuals, I mean to you and to you and to you, very, very specifically. So at the casino, I would say probably 75% of the dollars I spend through the marketing department are dollars directly invested or targeted at individual people. So we do that through our affinity program. Many companies, almost all the companies out there now, the big ones anyway, have loyalty programs, affinity programs like the Optimum card or Aeroplan. We have one called the Players Club. It's how we collect data. It's how we analyze, do analytical analysis for players to get broad stroke trends and analysis and, look at some broader programs, but it's also how I communicate directly to individuals. And if you can do that in a way, as a business, if you can do that in a way that really resonates, you can have really material impacts on the bottom line. And, marketing, one thing that, you should remember from the context of marketing is that it should be seen as an investment. So if a business spends marketing dollars, the CEO straight down through all the company, they want to see a return on that investment. So if we spend $1 million or $10 million in marketing, we want to see more than that come back in revenues. And with all the analytics that we have nowadays, it's amazing. You can track all of that very easily. Well, sometimes easily, sometimes it's difficult. But the trend going to hitting individual people in a meaningful way and in a customized way is massive. I just got an envelope this morning, oddly enough, with my gold Starbucks card. And I was like, oh, this is cool, right? Like, they send, I know how it works. Like, we do the same thing, right? But it resonated with me, right? And I was never, ever going to be a bunch of a Starbucks fan. And then someone gave me something, and I could get a free something if I did this. And before you know it, like I look, I can check on my phone. I know how much I spent on Starbucks, They've amassed a massive amount of money from me, not massive, but a lot of money from me, because they've targeted me, Sean Coyle, through their marketing program, and you're going to see just more and more and more of that. So,
Great,
yeah.
Thank you. Kyra.
I recommend never looking how much you spend at Starbucks. I've been a gold member for quite some time. I think what you're hearing right now is the IT world and the marketing world have collided. They collided some time ago, but it's becoming even more obvious how connected at the hip you are. I spend most of my meetings with my IT team as we look at web apps, as we look at a new e-commerce platform. You need to be able to speak the tech talk. You don't need to know it. You don't need to be coding it. But you need to understand the analytics side. You need to understand user experience. So it's really important that you not purely think of yourself as a traditional marketer. You're more than that. It's all of these different channels and mediums that are at our disposal so that we can get to the right customer, sharing the right message. You'll see it in the agency world. What I've seen over the past 10 years of working in the business, you had your traditional agencies, and then slowly but surely you saw some digital agencies, and they were specialized as digital agencies. And what I've seen now in probably the past 2 years, they're no longer separate entities. You need to be one because you need to be an integrated offering for your client. So we have now an agency that's responsible for both the traditional as well as the digital, and it's just seen as one, channel as a whole. It's where are you plunking your message. So I would say get in there, dig around on, anything as simple as Google Analytics, not that it's simple, but, understand if you have the opportunity to dive into any Facebook pages and understand, your page analytics, Twitter, understand the engagement that you have through that channel, understanding what your channels all mean for your customer and how you're going to use them, and what it is at the end of the day, everything is working in that toolkit for you because there's so many things out there and you're going to have to pick and choose how you get your message out. So understand how IT collides with marketing is very important. And again, don't shy away from the numbers. On top of the analytics side, budgeting is huge, and you need to constantly be rationalizing why you're spending the money you're spending. And if you can't show an ROI, then you're just going to get your budget cut left, right, and center. So it's really important that you can grasp all the numbers that are in the world. It's not just pretty pictures, which I think, unfortunately, is what a lot of people have thought marketing is. It's so much more than that. And if you just Google marketing as a whole, I think you would see these amazing infographics of where it's touching in the customer's world and path of purchase.
Great, thank you, Cyra. John?
Well, just to put things in perspective, when I took marketing from Karen, the internet didn't exist. And we had to write notes and do presentations by hand and so on. So things have changed an awful lot for sure already. But looking forward, you know, we heard the term Google, so websites are becoming more and more important. You know, nobody looks anything up in a dictionary anymore or the yellow pages, they Google it. So having the media side, the internet side covered, and to pick up on what Sean was saying, everything is more and more targeted now. When you listen to radio stations, you have the radio station that's the 70s and 80s, which is where I am, and then you have you know, the bounce that are geared towards younger people and so on. So directing your product, your service, whatever it is, to the appropriate target group is becoming more and more easy in that respect. And also, yeah, getting back to websites, social media. I don't know. I'm not a firm believer in the social media advertising. I find that it tends to be an annoyance when you're going into Facebook and these ads start popping up, and I just want to get rid of them all. But that's myself. Yeah, internet-based marketing, targeting your audience, and I think that's the way to go now.
Great, thank you all so much. I do have one more question, but maybe we'll take a break and take some answers from the audience. So if anyone has any questions for you, I'll just ask, if you do have one, just raise your hand and stand up. I'll then repeat your question back into the mic so the people viewing from NSCC are able to hear everything. So if anyone has a question, don't all jump up here at once. Yes.
Hello.
NSCC can hear you.
So I heard Cyra especially talk about using Google Analytics and Google Adwords. For everyone on the panel, do you use that quite often? Like a lot of information technologies and other like digital ways of measuring analytics?
So the question from the audience was, do the panelists themselves refer to the analytics and Google AdWords, the information technologies and digital measurements for their marketing?
I'll start. We do have Google Analytics. We do assess how we're sourcing our hits and where the audience is coming from. We're working on replatforming, and we're going to become more sophisticated in understanding how that works in our world. We don't connect the purchasing that's happening in our stores with online behavior. So for us, we really have to rationalize the investment that we're making in that and understanding where that channel works in the eventual end result of a purchase. In terms of Google AdWords, we're currently not using Google AdWords. We don't really see it at this time, not to say we never will, as something that is going to, well, basically, how would I put it this way? If you Google the Nova Scotia Liquor Corporation, or NSLC, you're going to hit us. If you Google a product, normally you'll end up hitting us just because of being a Nova Scotia retailer. We have 104 stores. We're a monopoly, so we have to be mindful of where we're spending our dollars, because it doesn't really make sense for us to try to have everyone in the world reach our site because you've Googled Bacardi, So we just have to be mindful of where we're choosing to spend some of those dollars. But the analytics that we do get, we do take a look at it, see what it works for us, what it means, and we do have an Air Miles program. So we take a look at the analytics that's drawn from that program to understand what our customers want, where they are, so we can ensure that we have the right offering in the right stores. It's not, at the end of the day, to sell more, it's to sell better and be a better retailer for the Nova Scotia customer.
Yeah, we, You know, in terms of a career path, I think the next 10 years, if anybody here is interested in pursuing analytics, marketing analytics specifically, but I think it's a huge opportunity. It's going to be something, it's already being used. It's funny. I just hired I'm currently looking for a new analyst because my analyst went to the Liquor Corp to work for her. And, yes, anyway, it's, you know, I have a team, you know, when I started, we have a team of like 5 people. One of them was an analyst. Like, so that gives you a sense of how important analytics are for us. Yes, a lot of the common platforms like Google and all that kind of stuff are out there. We have our own affinity program, so all of that is managed. It's massive amounts of data that need to be managed, that need to be used in all kinds of different ways. And really, analytics now is providing marketers with an awesome tool to both make decisions to make sort of intuitive-based decisions. So, you know, you look at a bunch of data and you think, oh, I think probably based on this, this, and this will work. But then it also gives you it completes the feedback loop, and it tells you in many ways if it worked or not. And that provides marketers with a lot of power in businesses that we didn't have 10, 15, 20 years ago. And so now you can go to the CEO or whoever you report to and say, we need to spend more money here. We need we need a bigger budget. Whatever we need, we can now justify with actual concrete evidence. So analytics, huge fan of analytics, in all shapes and sizes. And if you have a propensity for that, if you like numbers and you like marketing, and you have a strategic mind that can kind of tie the two together, I think pursuing that career is a great fit for you, and you'll do very well.
I'm just going to add to that. The day of doing a campaign or doing a sponsorship just because it's over. I've been in that world where we would donate money or we would do a sponsorship, and at the end of the sponsorship we'd say, oh, that was nice, but we would have no idea what our return on investment was. So we have a whole department of analysts in Toronto, and we analyze everything that we do. For sponsorships, we look at what the return on investment was, number of impressions, how many people saw us, from every gamut. And as far as advertising goes, we do a lot of digital online, and we look to see how many clicks we had, how many click-throughs do we have. Like, it really truly is what Sean said. It's all about analyzing data now. So it's huge in marketing these days.
Yeah. Excellent. Is there any further questions from the audience? Go ahead. Karen.
We've tried to integrate, and we talked about this a bit with the numbers, but we've tried to integrate marketing math through our courses from the very beginning through to marketing strategy. We're doing a marketing major concentration. And it always seems to be a great concern and gnashing of teeth that students approach this, and a lot of the stress seems to come from having to integrate some of the accounting measures, ratios and things with marketing outcomes. So I kind of touched on that from the Google Analytics perspective. I think we could probably do more with the analytics side of it. But if we go back to the basic kind of case analysis, financial analysis of different options, how often do you encounter the financial side per se in what you do? And if you look back at your own education in terms of the marketing math, did you have enough? Did you not have enough? Would you do it differently? I guess that's my question.
So I'm just going to summarize what Karen said. But basically, how often do you encounter the financial side in your marketing, the marketing math and things like that students are currently stressing about in our marketing classes?
Well, I can share, just to give you a sample of how that works in the casino. Every single one of my staff members looks and deals with numbers, marketing numbers, financial numbers, and other numbers every single day. It's part of their role, and that includes the marketing coordinator, to an advertising person, to an entertainment person, someone's booking entertainment. It's, like I said before, it's money that's spent in marketing is now absolutely considered an investment. And you can't consider something an investment unless you're measuring the return you're getting for that. And all my staff, and it might be tough, and lots of people might gravitate towards marketing because they like the creative side of it, which is fantastic. They might like the strategic side, which is awesome too. But numbers will tie it all together. And our CEO of our publicly traded company, Great Canadian Gaming, had a quote at the last business plan session that we did, and it was a great quote. And he said, you only grow when you stress yourself. And it's true. If you want to stick in something that's comfortable and easy and all that kind of stuff, you might learn a couple of things, but you're not really going to grow. And he meant that to us as a business. We need to push our different properties to grow. We can't just be happy with good performance, But it's the same with you guys. If there's something like math or financial analysis relating to marketing, if you don't like it, you're just not going to go, and you don't put any time and energy into it, you never get good at it, you're never going to go very far in marketing. It's just, from my perspective, that's just the reality of life. So, it's going to seem like a necessarily evil at the beginning, but in the end, it becomes something you look forward to. Every morning, before I even get out of the house, I'm looking at all the metrics for my casino, for the performance, for the venue, for the previous night. And I get them, they're sent to me at 4 o'clock every morning. I don't look at them before, but I scroll through them when I get up, and it's the first thing I look at, and that's kind of it's kind of where it's at.
Karen, I was laughing when you asked that question because I can't tell you how many times I go back in my daily basis and go, oh, I wish I knew how to do this in university because I struggled through the basic math, financial math in my degree, and I was scared of it. And really for no reason, because like I say, I love it now. Like once you dig into it and you realize you have to learn it, I really do enjoy it. How do I think I got enough in university? It's catch-22 because that was a while ago. But I think for me it was basically once you get out in the world and you're able to put it into practical perspective, you really go, oh, this is what it was about. And it really does make a difference. So like I said, I would love to go back and take the courses again because I'd love to see how I would do now versus how I did then, because I put a wall up, and that's the worst thing as a student you can do is put a wall up and go, I can't do it, I don't want to do it. Instead, embrace it and make it a challenge for yourself, because you're going to face that all the time when you get out into your career, into your job. So you need to develop those skills to embrace something rather than shying away.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Context really helps. You're learning it in the books and you're filling out the answers from the questions in the exam, but until you're actually in that position and being able to apply and understand why, it just makes the world different. So it might seem extremely challenging, but when you start to live it and breathe it every day, it becomes second nature. Just for me and my company, being a Crown corporation, there's a lot of scrutiny in every penny that we spend. So we have to be able to rationalize any money that we spend on marketing programs and what have you. So if we can't rationalize why we spent it and where that has benefited the business and where that return is, then we're just going to be in an awful lot of trouble. And on top of that, you have to realize that every year you're fighting for budget dollars. And so if you can't map it back to a return or paint a really great picture of why this is an important initiative, then you have nothing. Just the pitch and the idea isn't going to sell it. You need the financial backing behind it in order to really secure. I'm going through that right now for our upcoming fiscal, mapping out what projects, what the budgets are going to be, why it's worthwhile, and then on top of that, getting incremental dollars for any new projects. So it's something that you're going to live every day if you're going to go down this path. You can't run away from it. Excel is your very best friend. Love it. And you're not going to have to be in any really fancy accounting programs in most cases, I would imagine. But you are going to have to be able to, one, work with your finance team, and two, have a great grasp of your numbers at the end of the day.
And from a small business perspective, I'm a one-man show, so I don't have an extraordinary budget to work with. So when some of you may start up a small business, you need to know exactly who your market is and pick your battles, what you're going to use to market towards that group. I'm kind of old school, so and my audience is also a very small audience, because a lot of them don't even know that my service exists and don't even know that they can actually use this service, because there's only a couple of us, I think, in the province that actually do falconry as a form of bird control. So I take advantage of trade shows, outdoor sports and RV shows, where I think that this individual that I know who's running a maintenance department of a large company might go and attend a show. So I'll go there to make an appearance and get that wow factor with my birds, and also do cold calling. That's another cheap way to do it. But if you know the companies that could use your service, then try to make that connection. Again, getting back to networking, a lot of it's word of mouth. You do a good job for one company, they all know each other. They'll talk to each other. So a lot of it comes back to that. So a lot of it, networking works for you, and it's cheap. And do your advertising directly as possible, sending out brochures or even just business cards, handing them out when you're at a trade show. That sort of thing. So you have to, when it's a small business, you have to monopolize those wow moments and try to exploit them as much as possible.
Great. We will take another question from the audience, if there is one.
One at a time.
Don't be shy. I have a final question for you guys. This one I didn't send you, but I'm just wondering, having a mentor has been thrown around quite a lot. A lot of profs recommend that we do find a mentor. I'm just wondering if any of you are currently mentoring anyone, or have you had mentors throughout your career that have helped you?
I'll go first. I'll do it quickly. Yes, yeah, absolutely. I think it's critical to align yourself with people that are seasoned, experienced, people that have gone through what you're going to go through in terms of career development. I think it's really important, and you can pick and choose mentors in all kinds of different criteria. You'll have to figure that out, whether or not you want to be aligned in the same industry as Coyle had mentioned there, or some other way, but really great to do that. I do myself, I don't mentor a bunch of people, but all of my staff, I have weekly one-on-ones with all of my staff for an hour, and those one-on-ones are essentially mentoring sessions. I talk to them about, not this broadly about things, but I talk to them about their career development, their career opportunities, personal development, any issues they're having with interpersonal relationships within the casino, staff, other issues. It's an opportunity for us to talk exclusively about them. So, if you can find yourself in an arrangement like that too when you're working, it's really great. But yeah, mentoring is definitely something you should pursue. Yeah.
From my perspective, I have had mentors before. I've actually picked mentors a little bit different reasons and circumstance. I chose mentors who are out of the Toronto office, because you need to have someone who advocates for you in your region in Toronto. So it was a little bit strategic from a professional development perspective, as well from a regional perspective. But just made sure that they were able to help me and connect me to who was who, just within Rogers, because Rogers was so big that I needed to make sure I knew who to go to to be successful. And I also have, with my own employees, have coached and mentored them. And oftentimes the positions we have in the Atlantic region are often very entry level. So I know that we're only going to have the people there for probably 2, 3, 4 years. So it's a great time. It's a great time to take the individuals who are usually fresh out of university, or maybe 1 or 2 years experience in the marketing field, and really be able to coach them to where they need to be to get to the next level. And there's nothing more satisfying than see someone grow over a term that you have had them employed with you.
I had a mentor in my undergrad. I was pursuing a publication company, so I had asked a professor if she would mentor me, and she gave me great advice. Definitely would recommend having someone who you can trust, who you can bounce ideas off of. In my professional career, I haven't had formal mentors, but I've certainly picked out people that I want to aspire to be like, just to learn from. On top of that, I've also watched people who I don't want to become. It's really important to know who you want to be, but also really important who you don't want to be, whether that's as a manager, as a marketer, everything in between. Similarly, I do have bi-weeklies with my team just to check in, see how things are going, map out professional development for the year, make sure that they have the resources that they require. So when you are a manager, it's really important that you foster that for people who are reporting to you. So while you're not formally self-identifying as their mentor, a manager is very much a mentor who needs to ensure that their employees continue to grow, because you're only as good as the people under you, and you really need to make sure that the people that you're hiring or that you have working for you are smarter than you, because if you don't surround yourself with those people, you're just going to flounder, and you can't do everything. You can't be everywhere. So I think that's just really, really important.
In my banking career, I had a couple of mentors that I respected, and a lot of that comes down to respect and how well you can work with that person for that person. So I tried to emulate as much of their qualities as possible in my management tenure within the banking industry. When it came to falconry, I did find a sponsor, a mentor. It was a chance encounter that I had one day when I met another falconer and his hawk. We established a really good relationship, and now I have 2 apprentices myself, so they're eager to learn the sport aspect of falconry, and at some point we may look at expanding the business part of it as well.
So I take a question from a student, and he asked a question for John. Do you believe would you recommend a marketing major student to seek a career in banking? Is that something that would be a decent fit?
So the question was, would you recommend a marketing student to pursue a job in banking? Would that be something?
It was funny, after graduation, about 10 years later, I was at a party, and there was several of us, all from St. Mary's, and we were comparing what we studied to what we were doing now. I was a marketing major doing finance. There was a finance major doing sales, and a management major doing, I forget what he was doing, I think it was more finance as well. So it was funny. I think when you get your degree, it proves to employers that you have the ability to learn, and that is from hiring people in the past. It's one thing that they look for, is the ability to learn. So the specifics that you learn in school, unless you get into something like accounting, which is very specific, the basics that you learn in university, no matter what your degree, you have that ability to learn, and that's what a lot of employers look for. Marketing within the banking industry, locally, not so much. Individual branches had their own campaigns that they could branch off a little bit, but most of it was conducted through head offices, whether it be in Montreal or Toronto or Vancouver. So banking industry, not a whole lot for marketing. Not so much, no.
Great, thank you. I think we have another minute if there is any other questions from the audience. If there are no further questions, I'll just open it up to the panel. Do you have any last advice for our marketing students in the room?
Yeah, I think you need to be bold and push yourself. Don't worry about failing. Don't worry about looking stupid in front of somebody. Don't worry about embarrassing yourself. Don't worry about making a wrong step. Just get out there and get engaged. You've heard a bunch of different ways to get engaged, a bunch of different ways to plug in. Pick whatever the one thing is that you feel is the thing you could do first, and start doing it.
For me, it's all about positioning, and whether I'm writing a brief for a program or thinking about how I'm positioning myself in front of you guys. It's just really important to know how you're trying to present yourself, what you're trying to do, and when it comes to mapping out your career, you're not going to have the stepping stones all lined up, ready to be walked on, and then there you are in your career and happy as can be. But you can make sure that you're creating some stepping stones that might go side to side, but will eventually get you to the path that you're trying to get to. So although you might not know exactly what you want to do or exactly where you want to be in the industry that you want to be in, I would definitely recommend taking a look at where you think you might want to be and start lining up some meetings or just Googling some industries or understanding a little bit of what's happening as a whole in trends in marketing so that you can line up those stepping stones as much as you possibly can so that you aren't, I won't say wasting time because you're never wasting time, you're always learning, but you're getting there a little more quickly than you had planned.
Yeah, I would say there's nothing wrong with being in a job for a while, but don't get comfortable. Always keep looking for something else to push yourself towards what you want to do. Even if it is you are doing something that you like, push yourself to go further and don't get comfortable.
And my advice would be prepared to work hard. I mean, marketing and the business industry in a whole is competitive. So be prepared to work hard. Don't think that once you get your degree and walk away from the Mount St. Vincent that you're done learning. Always continue to learn. Take courses on your own. If you have an aspect that you're not overly comfortable with, such as maybe public speaking or an analytics, take the time to learn that on your own, and it only make you a better employee and more successful in life.
Great.
Yeah, one thing we didn't talk about much because we're not really from that, but is the agency side of things. And, you know, agencies are really hard places to work. They're fast-paced, they're very demanding, they're very tough places to cut your teeth, but it's a great place to cut your teeth if you're willing to do the work because they generally have a breadth of customers and types of campaigns that will give you a very broad range of experience very quickly, and that will both inform you on what you might like or not like, and it will also give you a nice bedrock of experiences to draw from. So, you know, if you really don't know but you want to work hard, you know, there's a place to look. Is definitely the agency world, but it's a tough place.
Yeah. And to add to the agency world, speaking from a company that works with an agency, it's right. We have very high expectations, very quick turnaround times. And often they do work long hours, and sometimes I actually feel bad, but when you have to get a campaign out...
Not really.
When you have to get a campaign out, then you have to get it done. But oftentimes when you work in an agency, you do get so much experience that companies, we've hired a lot of people that have come from the agency side because they have had so much breadth of experience that they'll then go into the corporation side.
Yeah, and you know they're hard workers.
We know they're hard workers, yeah, because we've put them to the test.
Yeah.
Right. John, I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but I noticed this box back here. Did you bring something?
Yeah, I brought one of my little friends.
I was curious as to what was in that, so I had to ask.
I think, do we need to back away from here?
I don't know. I feel like we're being shown up.
I'm gonna go over here.
I brought nothing.
I know.
I guess I'll get it.
So this is Zeus, and this is the way I usually break the ice when I meet with new prospective clients. So he tends to warm them up pretty quickly. Pardon me? Zeus.
Zeus is his name, yeah.
Well, he's 3.
He looks a little nervous. Ooh.
Yes, he can fly.
Do those things hurt him on his feet, or?
Oh, no.
Excellent. I'll just take this opportunity to say thank you so much to our panelists. If you're looking for a Learning Passport stamp, please make sure you see Danny or Miriam, but please make sure you exit through this side. Thanks so much.